one of the consolatory useless statements that some of you actually make, right? God help you. Anyway, everybody is in it now. There's no pretense. You get, people have just found a way of going about it and all that, right? So, if on my own side, kidnapping everywhere and all that, nobody is indeed will confidently say all this madness going on in Nigeria, I am spared, even if you are living abroad. But you can live in that denial, tell yourself that, give yourself some fancy things that tells you, no, you are spared. Oh, we are protected. We are safer than the rest of them. All of you are suffering it and all of that. Keep saying that to yourself. All right? But when you are by yourself and the reality hits you, probably you tell yourselves the truth. Now, going forward, one of the accusations against, what do you call it, against this guy is the obedience, is that if they claim to be different from PDP and APC, if they know they give chishi, like they said, how come that Peter Obi hasn't come out to give account of the money donated to him during the presidential campaign? And I know I've been hearing that a while too. Then middle of that, another accusation came. They are all the same. Have you heard the latest? Mayegun, the Labour Party people, they have stolen all their money. Now, you see, the fact that some of these things are already in the public space, and some people are already even forming their opinion about them and all that. But on their part, they decided that, okay, just for the posterity and those who might want to keep the record, for the sake of, record keeping and all that, they will come out and address all this. Something that APC, Egbekegbe, or people destroying people will rather gaslight you. Everybody knows what broke people destroying people. Now money, Atifku's money, that later defeated the Wiri Wike's money. Delegates here, delegates there. You all know what happened. Abi? Now, you probably are used to that. That's why a lot of people said, if you want to be president in Nigeria, you must have a lot of money. You need billions and billions. That's why you need godfathers to bring in the billions. You need to bribe people. You need to pay them to buy their vote. You need to bribe, all of that is the custom. So, this guy breaks the electoral law with like impunity. If you start from those that Tinubu gave money to, the dollars they paid them, the delegates. Remember that some of them, when they return from Abuja, PDP, APC delegates, when they return back to their state, some of them started building houses. Some of them buying cars. I had the videos. If you check this, go back to the time of their congresses. You will see all the videos of those and how they shared money to these people. So they can't account for all of that. So people are used to that. So that is why they see it as investment. So people actually have to bring stolen money, drug money, all kind of money to back you. Even if you tell people, I want to do this, I want to do that, by the time you realize the blood money, the illegal money that have been ferried into your campaign, you realize that you can't do anything. But if you're actually a drug lord yourself that attracts them, of course, you can't account for such money, can you? So people don't expect them to say, this is how much they spend. But people can easily. You will see them buying cars, convoy of cars, brand new cars, Tokumbo cars, Okadas, here and there, sharing things to people for election. So, it was kind of so strange then when we started seeing the same people destroying people, as well as APC, Egbekegbe. Deji Adeyanju was pretty much like still feeling relevant, right? Because he kept saying, even Peter Obi cannot account for millions of Guineas. He cannot account for Guineas. As if to say, Atifku, that the same Adeyanju himself, decided to sort of turned to an enemy to the same Obi that he once praised. I mean, all these are in public domain, right? And from what we heard, it'd be like, say, you obedient, destroyed business. That's why they will never forgive you. Majority of these guys have been waiting that by 2023, it was going to be their time because they are influencers. Majority of them have budgets that they have written for different political parties, including APC. Then from nowhere, you guys just came with, they give shishi, they give shishi. And that irritated people like Adeyanju and even Showore, our own Showore. He has been so much involved in that nonsense too. But, well, like I said, people make their choices. Because, I mean, you live by example. So by right, AAC openly declared all their own expenses, campaign expenses and all of that. They declared them like, So today, from what I gathered, it became obvious that Peter Obi was more or less like, not like in person per se, right? Peter Obi was more or less like a Donald Trump of Nigerian political space at that time. So as people were kind of making contribution and donating money towards his campaign, it was pretty much like, probably like, paying equivalent himself. Because according to them, over 500 million naira was donated to him for his presidential. This is not Labour Party. Labour Party as a party, they were selling forms and all of that to those candidates who want to contest elections, right? And they were collecting that money. But we'll come to that one, Abure. But a presidential candidate in Nigeria in an election managed, and he said, the public raised 575 million naira, pretty much like 576 million naira. And he personally added 800 million naira to the same campaign. He's one of those elite in Nigeria. He's a multi-billionaire himself, right? And how they spend their money, as you have them on the screen. The chunk of the money they took from them for legal expenses alone is over 740 million naira. You see all those legal ones, whether they say they want to collect their mandate, they need to get their mandate back and all that, right? All of that cost them over 740 million naira. But the judiciary eventually did what? So eventually, I mean, they have 19 million naira balance in their supposed campaign account. But word for word, I'll take you to their press conference so that you can listen to their charts. Okay, it's part of the chart tonight for the record. So I think here.
I continue to thank you people for your continued engagement and support of what is happening in their country today. Let me start today by most sincerely express my heartfelt gratitude to all those who supported us in 2023 election, especially the youths and first-time voters who sacrificed everything, despite all the obstacles, distractions and everything, to support what we're doing, believing in the possibility of a new Nigeria. Today is the beginning of our financial accountability, especially the crowdfunding managed by a team led by Aisha Yusuf. And she's the one that will do that. We'll follow up after her presentation. Thank you for your support.
So are you following? So that's Peter Obi, a presidential candidate a supposed the winner of that charade before Yakubu happened. You must never stop saying it. Facts don't lie. Figures don't lie. And that their Supreme Court of Injustice validated the illegitimacy will never still make it legitimate. The reason why we must say this on record, and for the history's sake, our children, they must know Tinubu never won any election to be president of Nigeria. No matter any amount of repetition and other cook-up nonsense to try to validate, he never won any elections. Okay? So let's proceed. And that is why today, I don't think he owes you anything. Everyone around him knows he doesn't owe you anything. His words doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? So he's not responsible for you. But you will find out later, even if you disagree with me. Yes, disagree with me. That's fine. Okay? There is no way he could have won that election. Keep telling yourself that. But there he is, all by himself, to answer all your questions and say, well, yeah, I got supported. There was crowdfunding. I mean, there were crowdfunding for our campaign. And this is how it should be done. If you want to serve the people, they must actually want you. And how do you know they want you? It is when people are not looking forward to you giving them this or giving them that, before they can then say, yeah, you can lead us. He successfully did that. He successfully did that. And now people are beginning to say, you know, competence, character, and credibility are something that even money cannot buy. They have to kind of, it's like self-make, you have to kind of teach yourself that. And they work so well. They work like magic. So the guy said, if you are looking for those who said, I am not coming because I want to come and enrich myself, is a good example of that. Okay, so according to them, from their money that they put together for their campaign, he actually out-donated all of you that donated money for Peter Obi's campaign. And that is what you call real commitment. Every other thing could be secondary. You know that? Now listen to Aisha drilling out what they said they collected and how they spend the money. For the record, too.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, gentlemen of the press. It's an honor being here, standing here, and representing the fundraising team. We had a campaign crowdfunding where Nigerians were asked to donate to the campaign of Obi Baba Ahmed campaign for the 2023 election. Today we are having that campaign fundraising report presentation. Accountability and transparency is very critical and it's very important. And at any time that we ask people to donate and they do so willingly, it's very important for us to come back to them and show them how their monies were judiciously used. The mandate of the crowdfunding fundraising team was as follows. His Excellency Peter Obi gave the following mandates to the team, and that was to raise funding from Nigerians using the campaign's official accounts and ensure funds are judiciously used to support the presidential campaign of His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi. For this particular presentation that we are doing today, we are specifically concerned about the Obi Baba Ahmed campaign, for which there were four accounts that were used. These accounts are were accounts in Zenith Bank, Heritage Bank, Globus Bank, and also Sterling Bank. They were made public by His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi, and citizens were asked to donate as generously as they wanted to. At this juncture, we must say we thank everyone that donated in cash and kind. It's not been easy, especially with the kind of mindset we have in this country where we don't think as citizens we are supposed to donate. But indeed, citizens came out and they put their monies where their votes are, and they were ready to use their money and not wait for, as usually we see in our climb, for the candidate to be the one bringing in that money. And for that, we say thank you, thank you, thank you. We go on to the activity and resource report. For donations from citizens, we received 595 million naira, 976,994 naira. This is the amount that were raised in these 4 bank accounts that we talked about. I know there have been reports out there that there were billions of naira that were raised. Some even said hundreds of millions of dollars. Well, we hope we'll see those monies, and if there are people out there that can help us track those monies, we would want to see them. But what we received specifically was this particular amount, let me repeat it once again, 595 million naira, 976,000 naira, 994 naira. We also received 800 million naira from the candidate himself. And I know some might wonder, how did we know that these monies were from the candidate? How were we able to differentiate them? These were monies that were put in by the candidate that were supposed to be used to pay for the polling agents. So we knew that they came in 4 tranches of 200 million naira each, and that was what gave the total of 800 million naira from the candidate. We designed a strategic blueprint focused on channeling the movement's energy to support His Excellency Peter Obi and Baba Ahmed's election in collaboration with different support groups. Remember, we had a lot of support groups, and we worked together with them. We provided direct and indirect support to over 100 support groups across all 36 states in Nigeria. Also mobilized and supported over 100,000 grassroots organizers across the 36 states in Nigeria. We also deployed media-related campaigns that reached over 11 million people, leveraging over 40 radio stations, community outreaches, and social media. We would have loved to have used television and all of that, but because of our financial constraint, and we're very mindful of being judicious in our usage of the funds that we received and being able to reach more people. So we limited what we had to just radio. So out of all of this thing, campaign materials worth 268 million naira, 374,330 naira were procured and distributed across the 36 states and also Abuja. Media and radio broadcasting cost was about 16 million naira, 422,867 naira. Election promotion expenses, we had 10,808,948 naira that we used for election promotion expenses. For polling unit agents, we spent 324 million naira, 381,700. And then we had bank charges, of course. The banks didn't warehouse the monies for us for free, and we had to pay 1,750,544 naira for bank charges. We also had administrative charges, which were 477,000 naira. We deployed 744,500,000 to cover legal expenses. And then campaign and election activities, we had another 28,500,000 naira. Let me just piggyback on the issue of legal fees. Remember what I said earlier, we had 800,000 that was brought in by the candidate himself. We did 800 million. Thank you so much for that correction. We had 800 million that was given by the candidate himself. And so we are supposed to use that to pay he had about 1 point something billion earmarked to pay for the polling unit agents. 1 point, so earmarked to pay for the polling unit agents. And then when we got to that towards the election, there were some materials, of course, that we couldn't produce. A good number of the materials were produced by most of the producers here. We have the team lead. He will take on that. We will come to him very shortly. But I just need to give this background explanation. And so some monies came in when it's like a week to election. They have 2 weeks to election. So we couldn't produce any of those campaign materials. And we made the decision that we're going to put some of that monies from the public, put it towards payment of polling unit agents. This is still part of the election expenses, and this is what our citizens had donated towards. So when we did all of that, we found out that the agents that we had, the amount that we had to pay for them, we had such leftover. And so the candidate himself now asked on the way that these monies were paid for legal fee. So that's why you see the legal fee being high up there. So
744 million legal fee. That's the chunk of it. Okay. And then this guy added an extra. Maybe you should listen to.
Basically, buttress is the philosophy that guided how we manage these resources. Because it was important that the resources that were given to us, we managed them judiciously and ensured that they delivered on the real reason why Nigerians gave us those resources. So the first thing we did was that we adopted a merit-based procurement process designed to ensure that we get value for money. So we put out a call for vendors within the movement, people who have invested a lot, use their resources to support the campaign without being paid was a major criteria. People who have put so much into the campaign and they were professionals in what they do. We asked them to send their bids, and we had a committee of people who observed several bids. And then we had a framework that we adopted to arrive at the vendors that we used in delivering some of these materials across different areas of the campaign. Then the next thing we did was that we adopted a skeptical approach to fund requests designed to ensure funds are used judiciously. So beyond just people giving us their codes and requests for funds and everything, we asked questions, we were critical. Figured out their business structure, how they were running, their capacity. We wanted to ensure that we leveraged resources wisely, and I'm proud to say that, and the team is proud to say that, of the different vendors that we engaged on across different tasks, delivered exceedingly well. They delivered based off of the resources that were given to them. Then we also adopted a framework to ensure disbursed funds were used judiciously. Very important. We want to ensure that when we give resources to vendors, people who worked on the project, that they use these funds judiciously. We adopted that process. Then fund disbursements were made with approval from His Excellency and to other signatories to provide constant oversight. So whatever decision we took in terms of disbursing funds, we are made with the full acknowledgement of His Excellency and also signatories to the account. So no funds left the account without the approval of His Excellency, so as to provide constant oversight. Now, conflict of interest rules were established to ensure decisions on fund disbursement are made based on value and merit. It was very important to ensure that there were no conflict of interest. So you would find a situation whereby members of the procurement...
It's all right. The modalities of sharing the money and all that. But did anybody notice that, has anyone noticed that the total money they have presented to have been money from the campaign and money spent on their legal cases and all that? Did you see that everything is not, everything is about 1.4 billion naira for presidential election? 1.4 billion naira, and they use they use half of that for legal case in court where lawyers are paid and all of that stuff, right? Baba, even state governor in Nigeria, all these corrupt criminals, they budget tens of billions of naira for them to seize and capture their states. So no wonder some of them having lose out on the expected windfall election windfall money that all of you obedient came to come and destroy for them. Eh? You see why they will never actually really forgive you. Because look at what you did for free. Do you know how much it takes to say you want to be president? Do you know how many people you have to pay? Eh? Do you know people you have to, like, I'm talking about big check. Before the chunk of the money, so before the crumb of the money gets to those ones who are like the sellers on social media and all that. Or somebody gather 1.4 billion, still pay lawyers, and still gather more than 10 million votes that they kind of denied. Baba. And you are still asking, waiting Obi go do if he was your president. Eh? Anyway, I'm just kind of in your world there, okay? Let's go back to him where he actually had to answer by himself. Like, he needs to answer questions now, including what is going on in Labour Party, which is next to what we're about to discuss. But let's listen.
You're talking about the Labour Party issue. I want us to process, which I'm sure I'll follow up in due course in other areas, because we've come to the end of this exercise. It is now time to account to those who supported us, be able to brief them. We're also going to commence our thank you tour to express our gratitude and continue in doing the right things for Nigeria, because you can't just say it's only when you're in office that you're going to do the right things. It is something that you have to do continuously. Thank you.
Okay. You have questions. You came the last time.
Online news portal where we update events per second. Now, this is a very good, I won't say it's transparent to an extent. Nigerians have been waiting, to know, been following up to know how these monies were expended, especially with the trust they have, with. This is for Nigeria. My concern is the diaspora contribution. Is there going to be another period where the monies realized, from Nigerians in the diaspora would also, because they would also want to know if monies came in, how was it utilized judiciously, and to know where further support will come upon. And I believe that that's the next step, because that will be the next conversation that will start happening, because people will start talking. So would like to know monies that came in from diaspora and how it was expended. Very, very great work you've done.
To me, okay. Let me.
Yeah, if you want me to.
Okay, let me start. First is that, like Aisha did mention, there's been all sorts of comments and allegations. In fact, one of the people who mentioned said we received about $150 million. Let me categorically state it, that all the funds received directly or indirectly from diaspora is not up to not up to 1% of what is mentioned. And this, some of it are part of what have been exchanged and given to Aisha. We're actually going to go to the various people who supported us in diaspora to say thank you and tell them what was realized. And we also are going to put an information out there that whoever knows where funds are supposed to have been remitted, to help us trace and get that. But know that people are claiming we received about $150 million. And I state here, we haven't seen 1%. And I stand for anybody to dispute or prove that.
Okay, the next question.
Yeah.
In the right direction. But you see, as you are doing this for your campaign organization, what becomes of the party? There are so many allegations. and somehow you have not spoken. Abure, the chairman, has been accused of stealing money. Even Aisha herself was accused. So, what is your comment to that?
What we're doing today is distinct and completely separate from the party and the party fund. We're just dealing strictly with Obidati campaign fund. And I've told everybody that whatever we received, directly, indirectly, will be accounted for transparently. For the party, I'm a member of the party, and they have chosen to say I'm the leader. What we need to do in the party, and I discuss it with the leadership, is that we must now appoint a reputable audit firm to audit and be able to deal with the accounting of the party. When I'm involved with anywhere money is, it must be transparently nice. So there's the allegation and counter allegation now that must be thoroughly investigated and verified. And we reconcile it and know exactly what we're doing. That is for a party. What we're doing here is accounting for the campaign. And I'm using the opportunity also to appeal to various support groups or individuals and parties that receive one form of funding to support what we're doing, which we're very grateful to account to those they receive it from. Because there's some people who supported some support groups, there's some people who, even abroad, who collected money and said they're going to use it to work in the north and everything. We were not stringent that everything you collect must come to us. But we want whatever is collected to be accounted for. And that's why we're appealing to the public. If you think this happened and everything, let us know.
Can
Thank you, sir.
No, before you go, sir.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Because I just saw part of the question was also directed at me on the issue of allegation of monies being misappropriated. So the first thing is that every donation that we collected under the Baba Ahmed campaign were paid directly into the campaign account. And I can categorically state here, there is no Nigerian, living or dead, who gave Aisha Yusufu a single kobo. Not at all. Even His Excellency that we were doing anything for would not give us anything to collect. He had to pay into his account. So for us, we're very strict. I'm sure you heard what Mr. Century did talk about. We're very strict in terms of ensuring that everything, we're skeptical. We put ourselves on the line and ensure that every dime that was collected was paid into it. Just to give a little bit of an experience, there were some people who wanted to give money directly and I didn't collect. There were some who even reported me to His Excellency, Mr. Peter Obi, sitting right there. So there is no money, but if there's anyone that has any money somewhere, please, we really want to let them come forward. We love that.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay.
Did you hear that? I mean, you don't really need to believe them. But this is called accountability, where you can begin to now dig into what you think, no, that's not true, that's not right, I've got this evidence, I've got that. This is something that your traditional criminal leaders, they would never even entertain, talk less of doing it. You know it. You know them. They don't account to anybody. Now, you see these guys that makes himself so ordinary, Peter Obi, and that is why one Ireke seller in Daura will be beating his chest that Peter Obi will never be president. A sufferhead somewhere in Oshodi is also jumping down and say they will teach Obi a lesson. Because those who they call leaders don't rate them. They don't give a damn about them. Don't give them room to question you. Don't allow them to, you know what I mean? Call their bluff. That's what they like. Unfortunately, seems that's not the style of this guy. And that makes him more vulnerable to many, many attacks. But I think he's used to it, right? Now, here is where he spoke about the Labour Party. What is going on there? Where he said he's already hired a private investigator that is going to look into the finance there. All these allegations are not healthy. If something is wrong somewhere, this allegation, counter allegation, if they call him their leader, he will investigate and arrive at his own answer, findings, and then help the party. Isn't that also leadership in a way? No? Because nobody talks to you, nobody cares about you that much, right? Now you've got somebody you can put your rage on. Watch this one.
You're talking about the Labour Party issue. I want us to again understand we have two distinct positions. You're talking about Labour Party, am I right? Labour Party account. I don't think I will say, am I right?
Yes.
Yeah, with the Labour Party. I don't think I waited too long. The election was conducted when? February last. Thereafter went into litigation, which ended up when? In November. So I couldn't have been going to court and be talking about Labour Party accounts. And after ending that, we're in December, which is when we started even recovering from all the activities of being in campaign from 2022, ending in end of 2023. And we're just in first quarter of 2024. I don't think this has happened before with any party in Nigeria counting this quick. Tell me one. You know, in Nigeria, we're used to blaming those who want to do the right thing and leaving those who have been doing the wrong thing over the years. We are now accounting immediately within the first quarter of 2024. I remember when the case ended last year, I said, in 2024, we'll spend it going around to talk and everything. And we just started the process. I could have been calling auditors last year. We're now going to call them and everything. And again, like I said, this is not, I'm not involved in the party accounting. I'm not part of the party management. If you know how party function, a party is being run by the elected executives of the party for National Working Committee to that, which I'm not signatory. Even the account campaign and anything, I'm not signatory to any. I'm not signatory to any group account. Everything is being managed. The ones people gave me, I paid it into one account or the other, which was properly managed. Because I know there will be a day like this. And I assure you, we will account for everything. That's why we are calling on every member of the public, local, international, and everything, who have a lead to where he thinks these billions and millions we are paid into or given to somebody cash. And I must say, thank you to Aisha, because what she said here is, you know, I've had people who have come to me and said, oh, we went to Aisha to give her this money. She said she doesn't want to take money. I will always say to them, well, listen, pay for this for us. Pay for. People actually supported us more in kind than in cash. Because we had people who paid for our logistics, transport, flights, this, that, paid. Which we're very grateful. And we're going to go to them to say thank you. But it's important. For the labor one, I've told you how we're going to solve it. We're not going to solve it by saying, she said, he said. We now have an independent person who will tell us which way forward.
Thank you very much.
The second part of it, the second part of it,
Which is?
that you are involved in some meetings, not NW.
Oh, well, listen. Of course, this year, I've had meetings. I've been in a meeting where she said so, and I directed them, I appealed to them to go and resolve it. You know, I did. I told them, please go and resolve this, you know. But today, it's in public domain, and the public, we owe the public as a transparent person, I don't stay around where issue of funds either mismanaged or embezzled is being discussed. I was governor for 8 years, and I said it when I left that office. I still say it every day I have opportunity. I left $150 million and something billion naira, which I was known that there's nobody holding gun for me to do that. And that the same thing is what we're doing here.
Yeah, I just want some clarification on this diaspora.
We have people who may be a group of this, they can tell you this group send in maybe $50,000. You know, so it's not the most important thing is for you to understand that the magnitude of the claim, I said it's not up to 1%. It's probably under $1 million, if at all.
And put together is what you channel.
No, I said part of it. Because some actually came in kind again. But I would cut as the nation. Some people brought some, they paid, who can say, oh, you're doing this. Why don't you pay for this for us? We're looking for somebody who has done maybe t-shirts for us and everything. People, we had more support in kind than in cash. You know, we had all sorts of various support. We are counting here in Aisha's on his crowdfunding. And he told you what they received, because it is in crowdfunding that people say we receive 200 billion. You know, so we want to know the account where the monies are paid into, because people might have opened the account in our name unknown to us.
Yes.
So we're not giving you, so those who paid the billions can say, this money is in this bank, and we'll go there and locate it. Because it's not impossible the way things are in this country. Somebody must have opened an account in our name or in anything,
and I know sometimes that long talk can be boring, right? It's not boring. That's why you are listening to the diary. The diary means all of this will be on record, okay? And if you look back in a year time and you are asking yourself, how did we even end up with this? How did we get here? If some of you are still asking yourselves, how did you get to this stage in Nigeria right now? All you have to do is to go and look some of conversations like that, evidence-based broadcasts like that in the past that some of you felt were boring. Oh, that was boring. Anyway, I wanted to have that on record there, that he came out and he said this and that, okay? And if people have more questions, at least they can now be, you can come clear if you have more questions. I like that. It is called being accountable, accountability. It is rare in Nigeria, and that is why it's pure much, right? There's another part I'm still going to play for you, and that is where Abure is defending himself. But just before we get to that, we'll come back to the aftermath of, the Bulaba and the Bala Blue economic decisions and all that, okay? Part of this, there's a message that came from their Sultan. They called a meeting of Northern traditional leaders, or Northern traditional rulers, to discuss the situation under Tinubu right now in Nigeria. So at that meeting, the head of that meeting is their Sultan, okay? Uthman Danfodio's great-grandson. Now, what they now sent out after that meeting, which they called a very strong message to Tinubu, is that with the level of hunger in Nigeria right now, they don't think they can control the people anymore. But I say very soon, all hell will be let loose. So, and I think that was when Tinubu decided to tell everybody that, oh, I just met with the governors, but you need to listen to that message. This was from the Sultan and the emirs and all other Islamic body from northern Nigeria. So the shege has become unbearable, and they can no longer control their people from hitting the streets. Listen.
Rates and health challenges affecting the region's growth. He urged urgent solutions, emphasizing the need to address youth unemployment.
People are very, very agitated. People are hungry, they are angry, but they still believe there are people who can talk to them. We must find jobs for our teeming youth that are sitting idle. And I've said it so many times, we're sitting on a keg of gunpowder. Having teeming youth, millions of them without job, without food, we are looking for trouble.
The governor of Kaduna State, Ubasani's message was delivered through his deputy. He emphasized the importance of northern states developing a common strategy and operational plans to effectively combat insecurity.
We must establish early warning systems and intelligence gathering mechanisms within our communities. Our main weapon must be people, because terrorists, bandits, insurgents also live amongst us.
Both the Inspector General of Police and the Director General of the State Security Service reiterated their commitment to collaborating in order to address the security concerns of the region.
Security and development are inseparable, but one is a condition for the other to thrive.
There is not the issue now.
We will. We are working with, just had a meeting, we will. There is no real strategy to end anything. Only strategy to profit from the problems. That's the only strategy they have. And every time they profit from the tragedy of this whole thing, tragedy, strategy, JD, Teddy, no, it's different. I wanted to say they removed the S and gave you tragedy, because they have no strategy, none. The only strategy is to profit from your tragedies, okay? And as they are profiting from your tragedies, right, bloods are flowing and the economy is not